On this lesson, we are converting decimals to fractions and then fractions to decimals. To go from decimals to fractions, it's easiest just to set it up and write it out. With fractions to decimals, especially when you've got big numbers like these, it's just generally easiest to use the calculator, which is what we'll do. So on this first page, we'll do 4 of them together, 4 of the 10. And on the next page, we'll do, I believe we'll do 3 together, and we'll use a calculator. What I've done, notice the green, I underlined all the digits after the decimal with green, and that's how many zeros go under my fraction bar in the denominator. So if there's 1 digit after the decimal, then there's 1 0. 2 digits after the decimal, 2 zeros. Here we've got 4 digits after the decimal, so 4 zeros. 2 digits, 2 zeros. So it's really simple to know how to set it up when you just focus on how many zeros do you put. I encourage you to do the same thing on the others if you have any doubts on how many zeros should be in your denominator. Starting with number 2, 160 and 3/10. Well, 160 is a whole number, so I'll just write that in front. 160, didn't give myself much space, did I? And 3/10. That is that number in fraction form. Or technically it's mixed number because it's got both a fraction and a whole number. Number 3, 5 wholes. Let me get my 5 wholes. We've got 2 digits after the decimal, so we've got 2 zeros, 11 hundredths. 5 and 11 hundredths. So we would read this as 4 and tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 7 ten-thousandths. There are 4 digits to the right of the decimal, so there are 4 zeros. We've got 4 wholes and 7 ten-thousandths. Number 5, we've got 213 wholes, 213. We've got 2 digits to the right of the decimal, 2 zeros, 213 and 43 hundredths. That's pretty straightforward. On to the next page. Start with number 1. I'm doing the same thing. Number 1 is the only one of these that's actually a mixed number. It actually has a whole number. The rest are simply fractions. Some of the fractions, most of the fractions, will give you whole numbers because they make more than one. You can see the top number is bigger than the bottom. They're improper fractions. There is, I believe, just one of them, number 8. That's the only one that's actually a proper fraction. So it'll be less than 1 when we divide it out because it's less than 1 as a fraction. All right, so I wrote my whole number. Now this is what I'll do the dividing with. So I've got 123 divided by 10,000. 123 divided by 10,000 gives me, so I've got the decimal, here's my decimal, 0, 1, 2, 3. 0, 1, 2, 3. 5 and 123 ten-thousandths. And that's exactly how we'd read that, 5 and 123 ten-thousandths. Let's come down to the bottom two, 4 and 8. 204 tenths. I can already tell you what it is by looking at it, but I'll let you go ahead and divide. So we've got 204 divided by 10. 204 divided by, 204 divided by 10. We have 20 and 4 tenths. Finally, we'll do number 8. 204 divided by 10,000. Can you guess that this is going to be 204 10,000ths? Well, if not, let's go ahead. 204 divided by 10, 1, 2, 3. Well, looky there. We have 0.0204. We would read this the same way we would read that. 204 10,000ths. 204 10,000ths. Some of them will work nicely that way, some of them won't. So don't just expect them all to work out that way and just randomly start writing answers. I want you to take your time and use a calculator and just observe the answers that you get and think about them and look for patterns, look for trends. That's the best way that you learn.